It's the time of the month for another legendary banner. As usual with these monthly banners feature an 8% 5-star focus rate with no pity breakers. Today we'll be talking about the 12 heroes on the banner, plus what fun skills are available. Too bad we didn't have a mythic hero this month because we could have had mythical Myrrh May, but we'll have to settle for Manakete May instead. Legendary Myrrh is here, and as the sole Manakete from Sacred Stones, she probably deserves that legendary spot. Myrrh just wipes the floor with nearly everything in the game, only held back by having her limited use Dragonstone. This time she's a flying blue dragon, and that means Myrrh Emblem is complete with all 4 colors. She's going to be a wind legendary hero with bonus defense and with pair up, and stat wise I'm pretty sure she's going to stay close to her other alts. I'll talk about that more in a bit. In terms of ult skills, Myrrh comes with Bonfire, since I assume she'll easily have more 40 plus defense. She also comes with Dragon Wall, which means probably higher res as well, which isn't unusual for Myrrh. She just usually has higher defense than res. Now her weapon is going to be called Godly Breath, which just about summarizes my first time using Myrrh in Sacred Stones. Despite the name, it's a relatively tame weapon for the most part. Accelerates specials, and if Myrrh initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she inflicts -5 to all stats. She gets 30% damage reduction against all attacks, including AoE specials, and she makes a free follow-up. Legendary Myrrh is sort of taking aspects from all of her other alts. She has a general stat advantage in the form of in-combat debuffs, she gets a follow-up attack like her Halloween ult, and she has faster specials plus damage reduction from her Harmonic Spring ult with Na. With Dragon Wall in her base kit, at full power, Myrrh will have 58% damage reduction against all hits. She's still weak to archers, but without Deadeye or Young Innis, you may not get a clean one-shot. Accelerated specials plus a follow-up attack could also make Myrrh somewhat deadly, since I do expect some decent attack on her. Myrrh also usually has around 25 air speed, and with a speed debuff in Godly Breath, I expect Legendary Myrrh will follow suit with that. She could score a double on super slow tanks with her free follow-up plus the outspeed. Overall, nothing super crazy here, but just solid combative perks. For her unique C skill, Myrrh is going to come with Darkling Guardian. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant 3 effects to Myrrh for 1 turn. First, she gets a +6 defense res field buff. Second, she gets a follow-up attack or denial status. Third, she's going to get a new Warp Bubble status. Warp Bubble states, foes cannot warp into spaces within 4 spaces of unit. This should be familiar because this is part of Gatekeeper's Detailed Report B skill. Basically, no Wings of Mercy fly-ins or Harmonic Capture pylons if Myrrh is close enough. She will also block any of the recent 2-space warping skills like from Ash, or maybe the infinite range warp of Lilith. Important to understand, Warp Bubble is a status effect applied at the start of the turn, so it is susceptible to things like False Start. Gatekeeper can't be stopped since it's just baked into his skill. Now, besides blocking warping, Myrrh basically just buffs herself. She can get the follow prevention that OG Myrrh started with, and she has defense or extra defense and res, which can help with Dragon Wall and general tanking. For her new inheritable skill, Legendary Myrrh brings defense and res Unity with her. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +5 defense and res and bonus to defense and res during combat, equal to the current penalty on those stats. Another Unity A skill, this one focused on pure defensive power. You usually only get to benefit from one of these stats when taking a hit, but something like your res Unity does help with things like Dragon Wall's res check. In general, Myrrh will keep both of her defensive stats protected from debuffs, and she neutralizes the downsides of panic. You could argue that negating debuffs is more impactful for certain scenarios, and I do wish Myrrh had that perk innately. Regardless, unless you want to run distant counter like many of the other Myrrh ults, defense res Unity will just add to her tankiness. In general, Legendary Myrrh looks like a solid dragon, and she still has some clear weaknesses. Her kit is still susceptible to no follow-up, she's still weak to archers despite coming with lots of damage reduction, and she is weak to dragon effectiveness as well. When I see a unit like this, I do just think about my maxed out Young Innis. He's an archer, he doesn't care about that 58% damage reduction, and he has Ruptured Sky for even more firepower. Of course, Myrrh could run out shield if you want. She will also be incredibly tanky regardless, I'm sure. There are some downsides to having that unique C skill though. No Rain Flower skill and no fancy new Smoke Forest skills, although Myrrh's got damage reduction and fall prevention anyway. No Conto plus Warp Bubble like Gatekeeper either. Dragon Wall is fun, but this is another situation where I wish something like Dragon's Wrath worked on both phases. It could have been nice for a bit more damage while still retaining some damage reduction. Additionally, this Myrrh doesn't really need Dragon's Ire. One thing that is nice for Myrrh is accelerated specials. Flyers basically have Heavy Blade for cooldown, and that's about it. She could use that if you want, but remember dragons don't get Gale Force, so no 4 cooldown Gale Force strats here. Myrrh may want to try the Instant Glimmer Retaliation, but Bonfire is fun too. No flow B skills, which could have given Myrrh some better offensive tools. Some fun things to watch out for that she can use are of course Kanto near Trace. There isn't really one focused on res for dragons just yet. I wouldn't prioritize it, but hey, Kanto is Kanto. A classic skill for Myrrh is probably going to be Distant Counter. If you can nab Distant Stance, that's better for Dragon Wall. As a flyer, you could also try any of the Catch 4 A skills. Defense Res Catch 4, for example, could be better if you don't want Myrrh tied down by Unity's 2-space range. All in all, looking like a decent legendary, but nothing super insane. Myrrh loves showcasing the importance of no follow-up, and this time she's testing both sides of offense and defense. If you don't have no follow-up, nor damage reduction nullification, she's gonna be real tough to bring down. Suffice to say, but I will definitely be creating a copy for myself. I wanted to save for summer or 3 hopes, but I've basically been hitting the 40 summon spark, then saving, then sparking, then saving, pretty much the whole year so far. I guess that's gonna continue at least another month. Next, let's talk about the 11 other heroes on the banner. For red, we have legendary Eliwood, Neimi, and Priam. Blue has legendary Myrrh, Caeda, and female Byleth. Green's gonna have Dagr plus legendary male Byleth and Edelgard. Last, Colorless has Bramimond, legendary Claude, and Ascended Joshua. Legendary Dimitri, where you at, man? We got a 3 hopes reunion in less than a month. First up for the red group with legendary Eliwood, he's a sword cavalier but does not get a ton of combative power for himself. Instead, Eliwood buffs his strongest ally with the bonus double status, plus he can give them +6 attack and defense every turn. However, unlike his son, Eliwood does need a dragon or beast on his team. He can provide the full spectrum of buffs with rally speed and res, and chill attack provides some debuff support. For offense, Eliwood gets Death Blow 4, but he certainly could use some nice remix buffs in terms of his own combat. Next up is Neimi, a red infantry archer, and her rapid fire bow also buffs a teammate. Neimi gives the highest attack plus speed ally with +6 attack and speed field buffs, and then she gains bonus attack when fighting near that buffed up ally. Basically, Neimi can get +12 attack very easily on top of some extra stats all around. For her passives, you have speed and res bond for formation fighting, and she has joint drive res for extra buffing. Neimi can stack res pretty high with her base kit, but she's got a pretty offensive threat herself. Last up is Priam, a sword infantry unit with great attack and speed. His Ancient Ragnar has Distant Counter plus inflicts attack and defense debuffs. It's a really simple weapon. For passives, Priam brings attack and defense ideal 4, no follow-up 3, and route speed and defense 4. You can get the tier 3 versions of attack and defense ideal from the recent demote Skyhawk, and route speed and defense from Ferdinand. Overall, red is probably not the most enticing group with 2 permanent units who aren't super crazy, but they have some decent skills at least. As for Eliwood, his personal combat isn't that impressive, so you gotta hope for some buffs via the remix. His most interesting aspect is his bonus doubler buffing, and hopefully they do add more into that when the remix happens. Moving on to blue, we already talked about Myrrh. For skills, Defense Res Unity is brand new, so if you gonna have to get her if you want it now. Besides that, Dragon Wall is a fun B skill for damage reduction, even if Rhea has brought out the true version for herself recently. Joining Myrrh is legendary Caeda making her return. She's a lance flyer with a bunch of speed but lanes into some cheesy damage as well. Caeda has dual effectiveness against cavalry and army units, plus she has permanent advantage against them with her B skill. She has Kanto 2, she can neutralize fall prevention skills, and after combat she gains a Vantage status to use against any enemy type. She also has a field buff stealing mechanic similar to Freya. To add to her Vantage shenanigans, Caeda has Distant Storm, the distant counter skill with +5 attack and recoil damage. She also has attack and defense rain for more debuffing. Some very interesting perks, and like her younger ult, you do need to be careful if you attack her with some squishy cavaliers. The third blue unit in this group is legendary female Byleth, a blue infantry mage. She has high offensive stats, and her tome accelerated specials grants +5 to all stats and gives female Byleth and nearby allies tempo. Her C skill is pretty similar to Myrrh's as a selfish buff. Byleth's gonna get a +7 attack and speed field buff, she gets the no follow-up status, and she can warp to allies within 2 spaces. You could say Goddess Bearer is the direct counterpart to Darkling Guardian, or I guess the other way around. For inheritable skills, Byleth has the fun Ruptured Sky special. She has attack and speed ideal 4 and low speed and res 3. A Myrrh can add to attack and speed ideal 3 to grab a second skill. Overall, very nice blue group with 3 legendaries all from within the past 6 months. Lots of nice skills on hand if you want to grab legendary Myrrh. Moving on to green, we have Mythic Dagr. She's an axe infantry unit who has the infamous Pathfinder passive to let allies move through her for free. Skin Foxy gives a general stat boost plus full spectrum unity, bring dual crown for some double unity fun. Dagr's B skill gives no follow-up 3 and inflicts -5 speed and defense on the foe. With attack speed push 4 for more stats and even tempers for extra movement, Dagr can bring the heat, although she is an offense mythic. Next we have male legendary Byleth, who's a green infantry mage. He also has good offensive stats but has a powerful one-shot type playstyle. His tome accelerated specials grants more stats and an AoE no follow-up buff instead of tempo. Reminder, this no follow-up status requires a speed check to win. Now, male Byleth gets Sublime Heaven as his unique special. It's a 2 cooldown special that boosts damage by 25% of Byleth's attack stat, upgraded to 50% attack if the foe is a beast or dragon. Sublime Heaven also ignores damage reduction passives, so kinda not a great look if you're legendary Myrrh, a blue dragon who abuses damage reduction. To bring it all together, Byleth has Time's Pulse to pre-charge Sublime Heaven every turn, and he has attack and defense ideal 4 and low attack and res for more one-shot damage potential. He's a very fun unit. Last is legendary Edelgard, an X army unit and one of the few army units with a player phase playstyle. Edelgard's entire kit does not work with Savior since she needs to be solo. She has Raging Storm for an extra action, which everyone should be well familiar with by now. A Myrrh inflicts -6 attack and defense and prevents a follow-up attack. Edelgard does get a free follow-up attack against beast or dragons, otherwise she generally abuses Raging Storm for her second hit. To get around, she has Armored Stride and she has Attack and Res Solo 3 because again, her entire kit requires the solo condition. Definitely interested to see what her remix ends up being considering the monstrous showcase of Fallen Edelgard and the very meta shift to save skills for army units. Last up is Colorless, and we have Mythic Bramimond. He's a dark mythic like Medeus and he boosts attack as well, so you can double dip into attack boost for your defense team. Bramimond is a decent attacker himself with high attack and a slightly wonky tome. Basically, for the most part, he's going to always get +5 attack and defense and res with a free follow-up attack. He then has Impenetrable Dark, which ignores all support skills affecting Bramimond's target. This is the base work for the Feud C skills, so you gotta 1v1 this guy basically. He boosts his defense with attack and defense push 4 and low attack and res for more damage and tankiness. Certainly not a unit you can ignore, but even Impenetrable Dark does not stop Savior. Next up is legendary Claude, a colorless flying archer. Claude is a monster offensive unit with accelerated specials, +5 tall stats, and no follow-up 3, which is good on a flyer. He shores up his defense weakness with Fallen Star's absurd 80% damage reduction on initiations, and he retains that into the enemy phase after attacking. If you do not nullify his damage reduction, letting Claude attack first is insanely bad since he also applies AoE gravity around his target. To then bolster his offensive power, Claude has the very powerful attack and speed catch 4 and speed and defense rain combo. Can't get much better than that. Last up is Ascended Joshua, a colorless infantry dagger user. Joshua goes full offensive and his dagger accelerated specials has a stronger low speed and defense effect, and if he attacks in a line with the foe, he prevents their counterattack. If Joshua attacks from an angle, he gains bonus damage equal to 50% of his attack or the foe's attack stat. You have the option of Fire Sweep or extra damage, but of course, sometimes you don't get a choice. To abuse Fire Sweep, Joshua has Life and Death 4 for full damage, and no follow-up is a staple offensive choice. He then has Green Feud 3 to block green foes from getting support or just negating support skills of green foes. Ascended Joshua could have some fun with various special builds like Lethality or AoE special spam. He might also be a nice user of the new Tier 4 Smoke since he has a partial Fire Sweep weapon. For example, with Speed Smoke 4, you can rack up triple debuffs and you can get dodge after you attack. Overall, Colorless is pretty solid as well, some decent skills and 3 fun units to try out. That will be it for this month's Legendary Banner, but do be aware that we have been notified that next month is also a new Legendary Hero. Considering the main plot in Book 6 and past year's midpoint banners, it's entirely possible we get a midpoint mythic very soon. If that interests you, then you can wait about a week to find out. These monthly banners have been lasting much longer than they used to. Speaking of future banners, I guess we'll see if they want to do a 3 Hopes banner early. After next New Heroes, it's almost certainly time for our yearly double summer banner fun. Good luck to everyone with low orb counts, and good luck if you're going to be summoning for Myrrh. I definitely will be tossing my orbs into the mix, and hopefully I can score an extra Myrrh to merge with. That's all I got for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.